So what I want to do here, folks, I want to do episode 14 of our Bolo Search series, and I'm going to do it with you live. We'll record it together, and then we'll post it so that everybody can have access to it. The first 13 videos in the Bolo Search series have been really important in helping you start and grow your Amazon business. Of course, as always, we can't make any income claims or promises, and your results will vary. Some people have access to the Bolo deals and some do not. You do need to be part of our Internet Mastery community to get access to the Bolo deals. In some cases, they are part of your plan, and in some cases, you need to subscribe. With that being said, the goal of this series is to show people how they can start at zero in sales with about $1,000 invested and grow it to $100,000 in revenue. Now, when I started this Bolo series, I started with a brand new Amazon account for all of the testing and all the examples and all the different variables. And I didn't start actually listing the items until I completed episode 13. So between episode 13 and the recording of episode 14, let me go ahead and just share with you the Amazon account that I have been utilizing, and it would look like this. And what we can see here is that year to date, which is really not since actually March of this year. So I would say that's about 2.5 months so far. There have been 390 orders, 436 total units ordered, and $7,770. So the goal is to start with 1,000 and turn it into 100,000. This is a very part-time project for me in terms of the Bolo deals themselves, but in reviewing and working through this process, it becomes very real. And so all of the items that are in this account are Bolo deals, and they are slowly growing to the point where we'll be able to go from 0 to 100,000 just using Bolo deals. So I want to go into my Bolo deals here in just a moment, but one of the big changes that we've made with the Bolo deals is the inclusion of Walmart and the ability for us to source from Walmart and do that the right way. And I'll do a quick recap on that in just a moment. But I want to make sure that everybody is aware of a recent change that has happened on Amazon. And throughout the Bolo Search series, we've seen this change happening. But now it is fully in place. And I want to share it with you because it impacts everybody, particularly new people that are just learning how to sell on Amazon. There used to be a time where what was gated and what was ungated was ungated. And, you know, some of the major categories that are gated will include things like beauty, clothing, shoes, and jewelry. There's some categories that unless you're buying from an authorized wholesaler, you're just simply unable to sell. And there are other categories such as grocery, toys, electronics, sporting goods, pet products, and electronics that you can sell right away. And that's always been the case. Different times of the year, they may gate or ungate a certain category. But then what's happened over the years is then Amazon introduced these brand restrictions. So for example, you might be ungated in toys, but then you might be gated in other categories such as, or other brands within the toy category, such as Barbie or Lego. So you might be ungated in a specific category, but then the brand in that category doesn't want unauthorized resellers selling their items. So there are now a big change and a big switch in what's happened on Amazon. And the major thing that's come into play is that now it seems like, and if it feels like it, it seems like it, it's actually happened, where everything is gated. 100% of the items that you go to list, when you go to list them, will have an apply to sell button. And unfortunately, that throws a wrench into your plans. But what it also does is it causes a lot of challenge and frustration, when in reality, it's not gated and it isn't blocked, but you think it is because you have to apply to sell. And I've seen this in our Facebook community where people will post and say, hey, my Bolo deals weren't very good this week because I had to apply to sell for everything. Everything was blocked. And what I want to make you aware of is it's not the Bolo deals that are blocked. It's everything now on Amazon that's blocked. The reason they're doing this is they want Amazon sellers to be smarter Amazon sellers. And they want you to understand the process. So I want to explain it to you because it's very simple when you understand it at the high level. When you go to list an item on Amazon, it is going to say that you need to apply to sell. Now, when it says that, when you click that button, and the most important part that I'm going to say first is, ready? Click the button. When you click the button, you'll start the process of applying to sell. When you click that button, you'll only have one of three options. It's very, very straightforward. The first option is that you need to provide invoices. And if you have to apply or with invoices or provide Amazon invoices, then you need to move on. It's really simple. If Amazon asks you for an invoice and you're not buying it from an authorized wholesaler, let's just say for a moment, we are all buying retail arbitrage for the moment. If that's the process, then you can't provide a receipt from Target, Walmart, Best Buy, or Costco to get ungated. Very simple. You just move on. Now, the other day I was talking to a student who told me that every item that they looked at seemed like they needed to provide an invoice. So when I asked them where they were shopping, they said Nike.com. Well, that makes complete sense because Nike sells shoes and clothes. Well, the thing is, shoes and clothes are gated regardless of this new apply to sell option. So if you're trying to sell items in a category that's blocked for you, like jewelry, clothes, shoes, or beauty, for example, if you're trying to sell items in those categories, you will always get the option of having to provide invoices. So just stay away from those categories. Now, there's two other things that happen when you click apply to sell. The first one is that you have to watch a video. And the video is awesome because it's a minute long. You answer the questions, you memorize the answers or write them down because every time you get the video, it's the same video with the same questions. And once you answer the questions, you're immediately approved. Now, why does Amazon make you watch the video if they're going to approve you anyway? And the answer is because they want to educate the Amazon sellers. Remember that only a handful of us get to be part of this amazing community in the grand scheme of the 1 million plus Amazon sellers. So most people who sell on Amazon don't have the benefit that we all have of this community. So Amazon is trying to educate Amazon sellers. The second option is that video. The third option when you click apply to sell is you're instantly ungated. But that one, I'm just not really sure. Like, why do they make you click the button if they're going to instantly ungate you? Now, what I've come to understand with that is that the instant ungating is based on the performance of your account. So as long as your Amazon account is in good standing, you will get approved easier and more often. And the other thing is that the more aged your account is, in other words, the longer you've had it in place, the more that they ungate you instantly based on your performance history. And sometimes they'll even say, based on your performance history, you have been ungated. When I go through my Bolo deals here in just a moment, hopefully we'll be able to do this in real time. So 3 things. Number one, well, let me backtrack. So the most important takeaway that I want you to get from this is that everything is going to require you to apply to sell. And when you do, you're going to have 3 different options. There's only 3, by the way. Number 1, invoices. If you get that, you skip it. Number 2 is you get to watch the video and answer the questions and you're instantly approved. The third one is you're instantly approved. Somewhere between 80 and 85% of the items will be instantly ungated from either step 2 or step 3. So the majority of the items. Now, if you are solely picking brands like Apple, well, you're never going to be able to sell Apple. You're never going to be able to sell Barbie. There are just certain brands that we need to stay away from if we're doing the retail arbitrage side. Now, when you start to buy wholesale, you'll be able to get wholesale invoices from your wholesale vendors, and those invoices will get you ungated in certain brands and in certain categories. The other thing I want to make sure that everybody is conscious of is that there are still certain items that you can sell on Amazon, but you can't sell via FBA or Fulfillment by Amazon, which would include hazmat and meltables. Hazmats are going to be sprays or batteries, and meltables will be things like chocolate and gummy bears and, shea butter, things like that. Now, that is simply between April 15th and October 15th, somewhere in that time frame, but you just want to be aware of that. So let me go ahead and jump into the Bolo deals. Let's take a look and see what we've got going on, and then run from there. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the Bolo deals that are in my account this week. I'll scroll back up here to the top. The first one that we can see is that this is some dog food now, or cat food rather. Now, one of the things that you might want to consider is that if there is only one FBA seller, that might be an issue for you. But personally, for me, I'm not, even though this is selling great and the profit is great, I'm not a big fan of selling 12-pound items. Now, lots of people do, and lots of people make a lot of money with it, but I'm not a huge fan. So I'm going to keep going through. Now, my goal here with my Bolo deals is simply to find just 2 or 3 Bolo deals a week of the 15 that I get. So remember that everybody gets 10, then you get 5 as a bonus since we've upped it to 15, and we'll keep it that way for the time being. So I'll take a look at this here. This says there are 2 competitive FBA sellers. This is the Family Feud Retro Edition. It's selling really well. The profit is really good. When I look at this, I think this might be a restriction based on brand. By the way, one of the things that, one of the things that I might want to recommend to you is that for those of you that are going to be participating in InternetMastery.live in Las Vegas, either in person or virtually, but particularly in person, and that is that if you're starting to get Bolo deals that are brand restricted, in other words, where you need invoices, what you should do is make a note of what those brands are. What you should do is make a note of what those items are. And then when you go to the ASD trade show, you look specifically for those vendors because you know these are products that are selling well. So you look for vendors at the trade show that are going to be offering you the product that you've tried to sell but couldn't because you were restricted, and now you can get those invoices from those vendors. So let's continue down here. Let's take a look and see what this looks like. If I look in Spy Rivals, what it's going to do is it's going to tell me that when I go to list it on Amazon, that I need approval. So I'm going to go ahead and really I just want to walk through this process. I'll click request approval. And what we can see here is that it is asking me to click the button Imagination Gaming branded in new. Okay, so I'm going to click request approval, and here's what it's asking me for. It's asking me for an invoice. So if it's asking me for an invoice, it's really simple to me. If it's asking for an invoice, that means this is one that I just simply can't sell. Remember, if they ask for an invoice, you move on. If they ask you to watch the video, you're instantly approved, you're in good shape. Now, when we go through this process, I would write that down. That's a very popular game, and it's selling really well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that brand down, and then when I go to the trade show, I'm going to look for vendors that sell that brand, because Amazon tells you exactly what you need. You need one purchase invoice from a manufacturer or distributor. A distributor is a wholesaler. And then, or a letter from the brand. So if I click this, here it's going to tell me exactly what I need. I need an invoice dated after December 25th, and it's going to tell me what I have to put on there. And then I simply upload that invoice. So in this particular case, this is an item that I can't get ungated for, but at least I've gone through the process of making that happen and learning from it. Now, in this particular game here, this one, the margin isn't necessarily good, as 0% sort of break even. And it's selling Okay. But what I would do in this case is I would do some reverse engineering. There are some unbelievable deals at Walmart on video games. And just for fun, I'm going to click on this Spy Rivals lookup, click on list on Amazon, and you can see in this case, it's not gated. Now, the bummer here is that it's not gated, but I can't make any money because it's a break even. So what am I going to do? I'm going to head over to Walmart. I'm not going to have a pity party. I'm not going to be all bummed out. I'm going to head over to Walmart and I'm going to start to apply all the things that we learned in episodes 1 through 13 on reverse engineering. Now, I do want to make one other point here. You'll notice that the buy price is $44.98 and the sell price is $59.60. And when these deals are put into Bolo, okay, so Mondays at noon, you get all these new deals. What I want you to understand, just so at the highest level, is that the deals don't happen magically. So from the time the new deals are posted, and then 7 days later, when the new deals are posted again, we have 7 days to accumulate and acquire all of the new Bolo deals to post. And we will go through hundreds of thousands of opportunities, hundreds of thousands get processed to come up with the deals that get placed into your account. And no two Internet Mastery students get the same deals. So the reason I share that with you is that let's say that we find this deal, this particular game at Walmart, and we find it on a Thursday, or we find it on a Friday, or we find it on a Sunday. And then we post that deal on Monday. Quickly, we will go through all of the deals posted for the week, and if any of them seem to be in the red, then we delete them. And then sometimes we'll even do that midweek where we'll delete deals that are in the red and new deals will populate into your account. But the reason I bring that up is that retailers, you have to understand how the retail industry works. Retailers are constantly changing their pricing. So remember this phrase, opportunities don't go away, they simply go to somebody else. So when it comes to the deals that are associated with Bolo, they might be a great deal on Monday. And on Wednesday, they might not be a good deal anymore. Why is that? Because Walmart might have had this item on sale. Now it's no longer on sale. So the buy price from the retailer fluctuates just like the buy price on Amazon fluctuates. Speaking of fluctuating, by the way, I'm so excited about the results that people are getting using the repricer. The repricer has changed people's lives, literally. I was looking at someone's account earlier today, and in the last 45 days, the last 30 days, they've had over 10,000 repricing examples where the price has been adjusted up and down. And so just as a, like a cheap plug, if you're not utilizing the repricer, you should, to automate the up and the down and the artificial intelligence built in to help you get the buy box and make more sales. The repricer is extraordinary. Not going to go into too much detail on it here, but I think that whether you have 1, 3, 5, 10, 50, 100 or more items listed in your account, the repricer will make you more money over time as it starts to do its magic. Now, let's go ahead and jump back in to this and say, okay, let's take a look now at Walmart and the Scooby-Doo. So we know that this one is not necessarily profitable at this point, but what we can see directly below it is similar items that are on sale. Now, some are going to be good and some aren't going to be good, but it's very possible that I'll just click on the first one because it has the lowest discounted price. I'll open this in a new tab. And this may or may not be good. But what we're doing right now is even though we know that this Bolo deal isn't necessarily one that we can make money with, it doesn't mean that Walmart doesn't have other suggested items that could potentially be good. So in this case, what I'll do is I'll copy this title. I'm going straight old school now. And I'm going to head over to Amazon and I'm going to take a look and I'm going to see if it's there. And now what I want to do is I want to take a look at this. We can see that this is $26.99 and it's $31.32 on Amazon. But this one, which is the same item, looks like it is maybe no price point there. So let's take a look at this and see what it says. Okay, and you can see here there's no buy box. Oh, there's a buy box there, but this is used. So let's take a look at who's selling what. And let's filter by Prime, and let's filter by, look, there are no new games associated with this listing. Okay, so we can filter by Prime, but there are no new ones. Now, sometimes we can't sell the item new, but in this case, take a look at this. This says that 3.3 are selling, which is great. I'm going to request approval. Let's take a look and see. And there it is. There's number 3, instantly approved. I did that so fast you probably missed it, but the good news, you can go watch this video again. So this one was gated. As we can see here, I needed approval. Sometimes it could take 3 to 5 minutes for Amazon and Internet Mastery to communicate with each other, but in this case, it took 30 seconds. And what we can see here is that now there are no listing restrictions. So this particular item is one that we could buy for $26.99, okay, $26.99. And we could also, now notice that for $29.27, this item is, let me take a look here, let me close this. This item is used. It's very good, but it's used. We also know that on Walmart, it's $35.96 new. However, we know that on Amazon, it isn't new. So if I bought it for $26.99, I can set my price because I'd be the only one selling it new. So if I click the profit calculator, that's only 5%. Well, guess what? I'm going to list it at $42.99 because I'm the only Amazon seller who has it in new condition. So what would I do? From here, I just simply click list on Amazon. Now I am going to wait for my double check marks to come on my listed page so that I know that I'm good to go to submit the form. Before I buy it from Walmart, I'm then going to make sure that everything is good with my listing. In this case, I've just listed the item. So there's no issue, no problem, no challenges that we can see. What we just did there in real time was we took a deal that looked bad. This is a bad deal from the framework of profitability. Went over to Walmart, picked the first one, noticed that there were no other Amazon sellers that were selling it new, and picked a price. So this is what I talk about when I refer to a concept called reverse engineering. This is where we take a Bolo deal and we turn it into something that is not the thing that we went to look for. And so if we just understand this process and also recognize that everything on Amazon is constantly changing. So we took 2 items from our Bolo deals. The first one was the item that I needed to have the wholesale invoice for. Remember, I told you there's only 3 options now when you click apply to sell. The most important thing is knowing that apply to sell is all the time now. Don't be discouraged by it. So the first one, we need an invoice. No big deal. Just click the back button, move on to the next one. Make a note of it so when I go to the trade show, I'm going to look for vendors who might sell those games. And by the way, at the ASD show, there's tons of them. And if you're an Inner Circle member and you're coming to InternetMastery.live, we're going to walk through the trade show with you and help you find those deals and help you negotiate with those vendors. The second option is watch the video. The third option is instant approval. So the second deal that we looked at was a deal that wasn't profitable. So immediately we would say that's a bad deal. But if we understand the reverse engineering concept, we looked it up on Walmart. And by the way, Walmart's not the only place that sells that item. There are other places that sell that item. In fact, let me just give you one more little thing to look at. If we take this ASIN here, and we can look it up in Spy Rivals. I'm not sure that this will actually work out well, but some of you don't necessarily even know that this is here. When we do the reverse engineering process and we look this up, we do the lookup in Spy Rivals, many times we can see the actual UPC code of the item. Now, it doesn't always equate this way, but we can take a look and click that UPC code, and it will bring us to potentially other items. Now, in this case, you can see that that UPC code is invalid to this item. However, if we look it up by title now, we can bring this over to Google Shopping. We can click there, and we can see other places that are selling this particular item. Now, we can see here Walmart is the best one for the item being new. It doesn't look like there are any other vendors online that sell it new for a better price. But the thing that I want you to understand in this process is that there's lots of opportunity to find lots of product that go above and beyond just what meets the eye. So if you're just learning this business and you're just getting started, there's so much to know. You don't know what you don't know. And on the surface, all the deals might look like bad deals. The challenge for you, though, is to understand the process, because none of the deals are bad deals. So that's what I wanted to share with you in this episode, this Bolo Search 14, if you will, and just keep going through the process. If you haven't watched 1 through 13 and you jump straight to this one, just watch them from the beginning. Watch the evolution. You'll see how Amazon is changing right before your eyes. If you've watched all 1 through 13, you might want to watch them again. You might want to watch this one again, because there's so many important little points that I think is of real value for you.